Welcome into 5 Wide for week 5 of NFL props and locks. Last week was a great week. We went a perfect 3-0. The under in London with Logan Thomas over receiving yards, and the last play with Matthew Stafford cleared with a little help of overtime, but now 10-2 on the season on the YouTube videos, so I've been crushing it so far this year. We definitely plan to keep this thing going. Today, unlike I think the last few weeks, we haven't had so many sides. I've got a couple sides here along with a player prop to close things out. Last week was definitely a great week. Want to keep this thing going, so if we did make some money, if you'd make some money tailing the plays, would love it if you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel as well. Apologize in advance for my voice. I did not expect it to sound as badly as it does right now, but let's get into these plays and let's keep things rolling. First up, going back to London as well for another morning game, a great one, Jags Bills. I like the Jaguars, plus 5.5. I think this is too many points. I think they get a huge lift this week with Cam Robinson back from his suspension at left tackle. This team hasn't looked great in protection or really running the football from a blocking perspective so far this year, so I think they're going to look a lot better this week getting Robinson back. And the defense, though, I think that's more the thing that people haven't really been paying attention to. The Jags haven't played in a ton of big games since that loss to the Chiefs earlier in the year, so definitely kind of flying off the radar with a lot of people, but 11th in EPA per pass. We obviously saw them shut down Mahomes. 8th in EPA against the run, and they actually have the 9th highest pressure rate, so their pass rush has looked a lot better this season compared to last. That's to help with Trayvon Walker looking a lot better, so I have some faith in their defense being able to make plays. They proved it, of course, against the Chiefs and been proving it for a number of weeks now. A couple of turnovers against the Falcons last week. The Bills dealing with some injuries that I think are pretty impactful. Greg Rousseau, he has almost a 15% pressure or pass rush win rate this season with 3 sacks on the year. It looks like he'll be out this week. And then obviously they lose Trey White for the season, which is really, really tough for this defense. Just can never seem to stay healthy. So I think that will help the Jaguars out quite a bit, losing their top corner and one of their best pass rushers on the edge. The Jaguars, to me, offensively look like a team that haven't really shown all their cards. I think it's in preparation for this big game here. Lawrence has had the 6th least time to throw because of that pressure I've mentioned earlier. So Cam Robinson should definitely help him there. And I don't really think the Bills have a special pass rush. Even if Von Miller is back, I don't think Von Miller is going to be playing at anywhere near the level Von Miller to play at, coming off an ACL injury this late into his career. I think this is too many points for a neutral game as well. Bills aren't at home in this game. This is a neutral site. And of course, a Jaguars team that's very comfortable playing out here in London and has been waiting now, playing back-to-back weeks in London. So I'm going to take them in the points. Sure, they can lose this game, but I think 5.5 is too much. Next up, this is my favorite play of the weekend. Falcons minus 1.5 at home against the Texans. This is a team right now that is definitely not getting a lot of respect. Obviously, a bad loss to the Jaguars last week. Houston team that everybody's excited to get behind with the performance so far from CJ Stroud and this offense. And I do think that on the road here in Atlanta, a tough place to play. I'm shocked that people are backing this Houston team. I think Atlanta has a pretty legit defense right now. Against the run, they've been fantastic. 3.9 yards per attempt allowed, 4th in EPA against the run, 10th in stuff rate, definitely getting into backfields. And I thought even last week when they, in that loss to the Jaguars, I still thought they kept their run game in check, which was excellent. Against the pass, they've been pretty solid as well. They're 6th in opponent yards per attempt, just 6 yards per attempt in the pass game. A couple additions they made in the offseason, namely Jesse Bates, have really helped them there. So I do think their defense is going to be able to make some plays. The Texans, obviously with Stroud, have been able to move the ball really well through the air, but they do want to run the football with Damian Pierce and have done it at a pretty high volume. And I definitely think they'll keep them in check there, turn this into a pretty one-dimensional offense, which would definitely help out their defense quite a bit. And what I really love and see the biggest advantage in this game is undoubtedly the Atlanta offense being able to run the football at will on this Texans team and keep the ball out of CJ Stroud's hands. The Texans, 23rd in EPA against the run. They're giving up 4.4 yards per attempt, which ranks 24th in the NFL. Dead last in stuff rate. Why is that important? Well, this should keep this Falcons team continuing to move the chains. If they're not creating negative plays defensively, the Texans, then the Falcons should absolutely be able to hang on to that football and be able to keep, again, this Texans offense off the field and be really efficient on a drive-to-drive basis. So love that there. And I think they're going to lean on the run game because of Ritter's mistakes last week against the Jaguars. He was terrible. I'm shocked to see this Houston team as a near pick-em on the road. I think this is really disrespectful for an Atlanta team I still really like. I think this is the perfect matchup for Atlanta to give this Texans team a bit of a wake-up call, and especially with a pretty banged-up roster right now. No Derek Stingley. We've seen the injuries on the offensive line. I love Atlanta in this spot. Last one up, a player prop. Certainly one that isn't flying under the radar like Logan Thomas last week. One that the Swifties are going to love. Travis Kelce, over 77.5 receiving yards. Really like this matchup for Kelce. He hasn't cleared this number in any of his games so far this season. I think the most he's had is 68 receiving yards. So definitely telling that this number is as high as it is. Everyone knows about the Minnesota pass defense. It's brutal. 26th in EPA against the pass. Opponents are completing over 76% of their passes. It's a team that loves to blitz defensively, the highest blitz rate in the league, over 56%. Crazy. And play a lot of zone coverage. 65% of plays they're in zone. That's the one thing I'm picking out in particular. Mahomes has actually not been great against the blitz this year, so I kind of get why on the road they're only a 3.5-point favorite. Minnesota could win this game, but Kelce will be the focal point for Mahomes. Kelce's at 17 of his 22 targets this season have been against zone coverage, 12 of 13 receptions, 74% of his yards on the year have come against zone coverage, so definitely where you want to pick with Kelce. He's great at identifying those soft spots in zone coverage. Last year, almost 1,000 of his yards came against zone coverage as well, so definitely not just this season. It's proven over the course of their time together that this is what he does best. The Vikings too, solid run defense, 12th in EPA against the run, so I definitely think they'll keep the Chiefs rushing game in check, force the ball to be thrown in the air quite a bit, and many teams are more than happy to do so against this Vikings pass defense, and I think they find some success here, Kelce in particular, so really like him to go over 77.5 receiving yards. Those are my three favorite plays for Sunday. We're on the Jaguars plus 5.5, the Falcons minus 1.5, and Travis Kelce over 77.5 receiving yards. Guys, again, if you enjoyed today's video, if it's helping you out so far this season and making some money, would really appreciate it if you like the video and also hit that subscribe button. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you on the next one.